So far, the only morality I've been able to ascertain from both of you is that there should be consent between two adults. Is that the only morality that you believe exists around sex?
That's a huge starting point, yes.
Is that the only morality that you believe exists around sex?
I can't answer yes to that because I'm sure we can think of some exceptions or there might be some other qualifier.
Well, you've thought about it a lot, clearly, and we're at this debate.
Well, yeah, but if you're going to ask me a hypothetical of like, what if when you have sex with somebody, it causes the fusion of two atoms and a hydrogen bond explodes and stuff? I don't know.
In
general, I think most morality is going to be built around a reciprocation of consensual respect for other people.
Okay,
yes.
so
how about consensual incest among adults?
If you want to do it, if you have a really hot sister, then go for it.
And there's no harm.
There you go.
You're not reproducing.
I have a question related to that.
So incest is okay.
I got a question.
And bestiality is okay.
Ryan, speaking of incest.
I didn't say okay. I don't think we should be doing any of those harm to animals. If an animal's consenting, then bestiality is okay, but I don't think an animal can.
I think I would rather live in a world.
Bestiality is okay.
There's no way for the animal to consent, just like there's no way for a child to consent. Trent was trying to be like, oh, but we do all these other experiments on animals. We shouldn't do that. I think, and you said, oh, which one's worse? It depends. It depends. Some of the experiments we do to animals are horrible. Like, we literally take out their ovaries. We do all this.
Can I play with a dog?
I would rather if I was, I think sometimes even having sex with animals is better than some of the shit we do to animals, like moving their ovaries around, killing them, literally killing them in order to
does a dog consent to being trained?
What?
Does a dog consent to being potty trained?
Wait a minute. Are you saying that you're saying that sex with animals is not as bad as killing them?
What do you mean?
Did you just say that killing them is worse?
I think killing animals is. It depends, right? It depends what you think.
Say that one more time.
What do you want me to say?
Just the way you said it.
Wait, like what?
Did you say killing animals is worse than
No,
sex
I'm
with
saying
them?
sometimes the experiments
I think, wait, you can bite the
do-
bullet. Yes, I think probably generally, yeah. Why? What's the next question? How could you possibly flip that? Do you disagree? Do you think that having sex with an animal is worse than killing it?
Yes, it is worse. Because animals are non-rational beings that we can eat. There's nothing immoral about that. Sex is for human beings. And I'm sorry you guys just can't see that.
So you think the sex, because we're not religious. So you think that the sex...
No, you're not sane. You're an insane person.
So wait, who is the sex worse for versus the killing worse for? Are you just looking at the perspective of the human and not the animal at all, or...
Who is it? No, I'm talking about the act. You're reframing it as what causes more or less harm.
No,
I'm talking about the
said
act.
Sex for an animal is worse than killing the animal. I'm asking you,
it's
worse
not
for
just
who?
for an animal. I think
I'm
it's
asking
worse.
who
saying
is worse.
the act of killing an animal the act of sex with an animal is morally worse than the act of killing the animal.
Well,
so
the
only thing that has
wrong,
any moral
apparently.
perspective in your eyes would be the human.
Yes, because not the only thing. There are ways to treat animals that are immoral, like animal torture.
Like killing them?
Is it immoral? It can be immoral to kill an animal if you're doing it for a cruel purpose or an inhumane way.
Cruel in whose judgment?
No. Let's say if you're stuck on a desert island. And there's
let's say that we're in California.
I would like to finish.
Oh
if you're stuck on a desert island and
we're not talking about stuck on a desert island. It's very obvious. Like you're killing an animal to eat it for burgers because it tastes good and it feels good.
No, here's the example.
Okay.
If you're stuck on a desert island and you find a wild pig there and you kill it to eat, that's not morally wrong. Because you want to satisfy hunger. If you're on the island and it turns out you're just horny and you use the pig to satisfy that, yes, that is morally worse.
Is it morally worse if you just hunt to kill an animal just for fun?
Is morally worse than what?
Then is it morally worse to kill an animal because you just want to hunt for fun than
two people go into the forest. One guy's hunting with a spear, one guy's hunting with a... Who's more immoral there? The guy that stabs the pig and kills it, or the guy that runs the animal and runs away?
Is he going to kill it?
Which one is more immoral? Well, if his dick is big enough, maybe. But I'm asking. No, I want an answer. What's more unethical? The guy hunting with a spear or the guy hunting with a dick?
Why
is the guy that throws the spear, he's more ethical to kill the animal than leave it and rot?
It is much more gravely depraved to have sex with an animal than to kill it in a slightly more delicious way.
Depraved is not answering the question.
And the reason for that is what? The reason for that is that you want to eat the animal?
Our position is that sex with animals...
That's what this view leads to.
Our position is that sex with animals is always wrong. My understanding of your position is that it's only potentially wrong because the animal can't consent.
It depends.
I asked you, does your dog consent when you train him to go to the bathroom
Not
outside?
any more than your child consents to it.
Okay.
Okay, wait, hold on, wait. Okay, I think when we talk about how sex is supposed to go, I think we have to build a constructive case for what are different ways that we can view sex. You guys seem to be really happy to say that like sex ought to be this, or society's destroyed sex, or blah, 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 blah. I think that you can posit a separate argument that sex is actually something that the body is capable of experiencing, that is a lot of fun, and we've evolved beyond the need to view sex as just a tool or a facility to pump out children, and instead can view it as a way to bond with people or have fun or enjoy recreationally. I think that we have the tools today to enjoy that because we've got things to protect or cure STDs. We've got ways to prevent pregnancies. We've got different types of birth controls. I think that it's okay that society has taken on a different view of sex, just like we've taken on a different view of women working jobs, or a different view of what kind of clothes can we wear because we have air conditioning, or a different view of what are the hours that we can be awake, where we can travel. I think it's just natural that different things will evolve over time, that will view different things. Yeah, we can view things differently based on our way of engaging with them.
According to the Guttmacher Institute, for women that got abortions, 50% of them in the month that they got pregnant were using contraception. So when you kind of say, well, now we have these technologies that can somehow sort of blunt the natural consequences of sex.
I'm sorry, wait, what was that supposed to refute?
So what's that supposed to refute is you're saying that we have all of these powers now.
To change the way we engage with sex,
to change the way we engage with sex.
Was anything I said incorrect?
I think it's fully incorrect.
Okay, do you think that contraception reduces the likelihood? Well, no, let's one stat at a time.
Let me finish.
No, hold on.
I didn't even get to ask my question.
I didn't even barely talk for 2 sentences, and you wanted to cut me off with the thing about abortion. So I'm going to ask you, do you think contraception is effective at dramatically reducing the rates of getting impregnated?
I think that at large, contraception has led to the mindset, a contraceptive mindset.
I'm going to ask the same question again when you finish this.
I
it
think
depends.
that over time,
I'll
it
just keep
actually
asking
increases, it actually leads to more abortion over time.
Do you think that contraception is effective at preventing pregnancies?
It can in the short term, but over time it leads to more abortion.
Really? Do you have any evidence that somebody that is on? So you're saying you have a study right now that shows that somebody on contraception, on average, has more children over their lifetime than somebody that doesn't use contraception?
No, what I'm saying.
Okay,
is,
so then you don't have any evidence for that. I don't know. I don't. You're giving me a lot of like socially constructed opinions. You have no data for it based on your presumptions of how you think that sex should operate religiously. But I reject those things. So obviously we know that contraception.
We are not making a case that sex ought to be done religiously or ought to be done in this particular way. We are just saying that the view that prostitution and pornography require, which is that sex is just a hedonistic activity.
Why does it require that?
But I think the larger kind of the meta point here, and you were speaking to this earlier, Destiny, but then we kind of got, the conversation unraveled a bit, but you were saying about how we have all this technology. And so now we can treat sex recreationally. Did I understand you correctly?
I'm saying that it's allowed us to change the way we view sex, yes.
Okay, so my point is that even with the technology, the natural consequences and outcomes still find the way. Even if we can live in unreality for a short time with the technology. I'm just on OnlyFans for a moment. It's not going to hurt my relationship. I'm going to use a condom here, so I'm not going to get pregnant, whatever it is, right? Or I'm not going to get this girl pregnant, whatever it is. The consequences catch up. And when I brought up the Guttmacher Institute statistic, the reason it mattered is because half of the women who are getting abortions, according to the research arm of Planned Parenthood, the biggest abortion chain, report using contraception in the month that they got pregnant. So they were using it, they thought they were doing the safe sex thing, and then they get pregnant and they show up for the abortion. So my point here is...
you keep bringing up the stat. It wouldn't surprise me if, for instance, 70% of people that die in car accidents are wearing seatbelts. That doesn't mean wearing a seatbelt is bad. It means that, if you're going to be in a car accident, you're probably in a car, you're probably wearing a seatbelt. If you're getting pregnant and having sex, you're probably drawing some form of contraception.
But if getting into the car is promiscuous sex, maybe we should consider not getting into the car so much.
Okay, I'm just saying that number you're giving, when that's saying people were on birth control.
If getting into the car is going and sleeping with a prostitute, if getting into the car is hedonistic sex culture, then maybe we should.
I just want to ask about your study. You brought up a study. I'm not familiar with this. You said that, what was that number that you quoted? You said
which one?
50% of people said they were using birth control or whatever, and they got okay.
So Guttmacher Institute.
The types of in that study for birth control, did they include natural family planning and pull-out method?
No, this is contraception, birth control pills, and condoms or barrier methods.
Pull-out method and natural family planning are both considered forms of contraception.
I mean, that's like a very small fraction of a percent of people who even use that anyways.
First of all, that's not true.
That is true.
Especially among Christians. Natural family planning is considered one of the only ethical ways to do contraception, which you know.
No, this is largely birth control pills and barrier method condoms or diaphragms or otherwise.
Okay, all right. I'd be curious if that's true, but even so,
it is true because we know there's a failure rate. There's a failure rate even with sterilization.
There is a failure rate, but perfect use failure rate is 1%.
If
real
you're
world
having
use
a
failure
lot
rate
of
could be.
so why if you're having regular promiscuous sex or regular sex even with one partner that you don't want to have a kid with, eventually there's going to be, for many there will be a failure.
For many, for many there won't be. It's a 1% failure rate. That's the opposite of many.
Let's say is almost 1 million abortions a year enough?
No, and by the way, 1 million abortions a year from 330 million people. I don't know if that's enough.
Well,
hold on.
By the way,
you're so easily.
Can I say one other point?
Many people experience failure rates. That's not what 1% means. 1% is not many.
One other point, because I know that you think abortion typically is acceptable up to a certain point. there's over 10,000 abortions that happen after the marker where you think it's a human life.
Okay.
So is 10,000 abortions, 10,000 murders, you would consider it murder of children that are viable in this country a year? Is that worth the promiscuity of adults? 10,000 murders
But you're
of children?
linking that to sex work and promiscuity? I don't.
Yeah, I'm
I don't
connecting
you just
all
said,
of it.
oh, it's affecting 20. Alcohol is also like, I think 10% of divorces list like alcohol is the issue. Is alcohol bad now?
I think alcoholism is bad.
Alcohol isn't